Well, Super Sunday may have begun on a very disappointing note with Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy, and Chirag Shetty losing in the Malaysia Open final. But there is great news from the world of Indian hockey. After losing 1-0 to the USA, the India women's hockey team have kept their Olympic qualification alive with a magnificent 3-1 victory over the White Sticks, New Zealand. Yes, breaking news if you're joining us at this point in time, the India women's hockey team have kept their Paris Olympics 2024 hopes alive with a magnificent 3-1 victory over New Zealand that has just taken place at Ranchi. After the loss against the USA in the first game, India needed to win today in order to stay alive, and boy, have they delivered. Fantastic performance indeed from the India women's team, led from the very beginning by two of the local stars from Jharkhand. Sangeeta Kumari, in the very first minute, she managed to score a goal that ensured New Zealand were just on the back foot from the very beginning. However, New Zealand in the ninth minute managed to equalize by a penalty corner, and after that, we all felt that it was the same old story for the India women's team. But then Udita and then Neha, in the space of 10 minutes, managed to ensure that India stayed ahead. 3-1 was the scoreline, and that is how the India women's team have managed to ensure that they have stayed in the race for the Paris Olympics 2024. With USA beating Italy earlier in the day, this win was imperative. Had New Zealand beaten India, it was game over for them. But with New Zealand losing today, there is a very distinct possibility that three teams finish on 6 points. It will then boil down to goal difference, which is why this 3-1 margin was very, very important. The goals that Sangeeta Kumari, Udita, and Neha all scored are indeed goal dust. Despite conceding one, India have a goal difference of one. So remember, the final day of the league stages happens on 16th, and because of that, India will be taking on Italy. If India win that, and if USA beat New Zealand, then USA and India go through as the top two teams from this group. Now remember, as I mentioned, for people who don't know what the format of the Olympic qualifiers is, top two teams from each group qualify into the semi-final. If India makes it to the final, then they have secured the automatic qualification for Paris 2024. But if they lose in the semi-final, then they have to win the third place bronze medal playoff, because the top three teams from this particular qualifier make it to the final of the Paris Olympics 2024. They would have secured their qualification right and right there. So it's a big, big moment indeed. India are staying alive, and already the dynamics of this group is such that perhaps goal difference might determine which of the two teams goes through. Remember, India have to beat Italy for that, and New Zealand will have to beat the USA. Only and only then will you ensure which are the two teams that will go through. Now, as compared to the previous game that was there against the USA, the India women's team, they admitted in the post-match afterwards that yes, we were hurried into the game, we did not capitalize on the chances. Sorry, they did not capitalize on the chances. They released possession way too soon. They did not dominate the circle penetrations. Total 180 degrees in the positive way in today's match. India dominated the circle possession penetrations. They also dominated possession, 52% possession, 48% possession by New Zealand. Then if you look at it, the circle penetrations, it was 13-10 in India's favor. After the early exploits that was there in the first quarter, second and third and fourth quarters, they just ensured that the game was in rhythm. And more importantly, the defense stood up very well this time around. Led by Savita Punya, who was not alone in all this, the entire defensive pack went through and India managed to hold firm. This game, if you have to look at who the player of the match has to be, it has to be Salima Tete. Salima Tete, the way how she was generating the chances, the way how she was ensuring she was making the play, the circle penetrations which set up the penalty corner yet again. India will be bittersweet about two things here. Number one, yet again, they did not capitalize on the penalty corners, but they did score a one penalty corner. The remainder of the two goals that came were through field goals. Sangeeta Kumari, you knew that she would do this because in the Women's Asian Champions Trophy, she had done this on a consistent basis and she showed her class yet again. The duo of Sangeeta Kumari and Salima Tete have ensured that India now have a new attacking pack which is even more lethal as compared to the Rani Rampal era. So, for people who want to know what is the qualification scenario at this point in time, very simple. India now have one more league game against Italy. They have to win that. If USA beats New Zealand or if New Zealand beat USA by a big margin, India and New Zealand or USA will go through as the top two teams. Now, even position will matter here because India will want to somehow avoid playing Germany in the semi final. Remember, if India finish second, whoever tops that group, mostly it looks like it's going to be Germany, then India will take on Germany. And that's an uphill task considering that even in the warm-ups, you lost to Germany there as well. So, if India make it to the semi-final and if they win their semi-final, their entry to Paris is confirmed. Yes, if India loses the semi-final, they will have to win the third place playoff for bronze. If they don't win that, Paris Olympics 2024 dream is over. So basically, that is the way, that's how the qualification is through this Olympic qualifier. So, big day for Indian hockey. They still stay alive and the dream continues. 8 years ever since the India women's team made the journey. 2016 Rio, they qualified for the very first time. They made big strides in 2020 Tokyo when they finished fourth. They could have won the medal by a whisker, they just missed it. Having won the Women's Asians Champions Trophy, having secured the bronze in the Asiad, they now are basically 2 steps away from getting the ticket to Paris. And the league game, the final league game that they will be playing against Italy, that is going to be the must-win game for them. If they slip up against that, game over for them. So India stay alive in the race for Paris 2024. The final league game is against Italy. New Zealand take on USA. Whoever wins that, they will go through to the semis. India, Italy, whoever wins that, they go through to the semis as well. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on sports today at the bell icon so you know when we go live. And don't forget, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Bye-bye.